Can we just stop? Can we just stop and talk about the Edmonton Oilers? Look, I get it. If you're an Oilers fan or even an Oilers fanatic, you've probably had about all you can take of talking. Seems like all people around the Oilers do lately is talk. Talk, talk, talk. It gets tiring, right? Like, stop talking and get doing. I get it, and I agree. However, hear me out for a moment. I believe I have a slightly different and distinct view of the Edmonton Oilers than most. First of all, I'm not a lifelong Edmonton Oilers fan. My love of hockey started when I was a teenager with the Vancouver Canucks. Within a few years, my allegiances switched over to the Pittsburgh Penguins due to them having the most talented hockey player ever on their team. I mean, one beauty of a player named Mario Lemieux. Maybe you've heard of him. I got to watch him, highlights mainly, but also a lot of full games. And the man was a beast. A beast among ye men, yet a gentle and gentleman giant as well. Okay? I'll stop talking about this now because I know the Wayne Gretzky true believers are all rolling their eyes. So let's move on. But this just sets up my love for the Oilers. You see, I became an Oiler fan after they traded Gretzky to the Kings. I was intrigued to see if this massive juggernaut team could rebound from losing their best player. Man. I started paying attention to them, and boy, did they rebound. Did they ever. That 1990 Stanley Cup win was an absolute beaut. Again, I digress, but that's my background in watching hockey. To this day, the Edmonton Oilers are my second favorite hockey team behind the Pittsburgh Penguins, the lowly Pittsburgh Penguins at this current moment in time. But there's a bit more about my Oilers fandom I need to quickly share. I believe I have a unique viewpoint because I am not blinded by the organization like some fans are. I have a little distance from things because I'm a fan of another team before the Oilers, and also because I'm not living in Edmonton. Nor have I ever lived in Edmonton. Nor have I ever lived in Alberta. In fact, I actually visited Edmonton only once. It was for like 9 hours, and most of that was actually at night in the dark. And I can, however, with pride say that I visited Calgary several times, and in true Oilers fan fashion, hated every minute of that stinking place while I was there. So, all of this that I've just discussed gives me a little separation from this team while still cheering them on. Maybe, just maybe, that separation gives me a more elevated viewpoint where I can see down over top of things, where the emotions don't get in the way of my decisions and words quite as much as maybe an Edmontonian may struggle with. Right now, we are hearing a lot of clatter and a lot of chatter around the Oilers. A lot of fans are uptight and upset and also demoralized. And this causes the rhetoric to get louder. I hear it all, and I get it. I hear the different trade proposals that fans and journalists and YouTubers alike are throwing around. Something, anything to get a jolt out of this team that is going through some doldrums at a terrible time to do so. Again, I read all these, I hear all these, and I sympathize. Look, there's lots of talk right now about what the Oilers most need. People are trying to solve this through trades. Trade Jeff Skinner because we need better D. Trade Evan Bouchard because we need more scoring up front. Trade Stuart Skinner because we need better goaltending. I see of all these things and I shake my head and I think, you know what? I don't disagree with people saying these things, but I do tend to think they are too close to the situation emotionally to see the consequences of their actions. If you trade Jeff Skinner, who is, I believe, fourth in even strength goals for forwards, where will your uptick in scoring come from? If you trade Evan Bouchard right now, how many top 4 right defensemen do you need to get back in that trade? 1, 2, 3 perhaps? If you trade Stuart Skinner, who exactly is going to play net for you? That's distinctly better. You're all jumping with solutions right now. I see the hands in the air. Here is what I tend to think that the Oilers organization needs the most: a reset. That's not a popular word, reset, but hear me out. My favorite Oilers teams were those teams from about year 2000 to about 2009. Why? Because they might not have had much skill, but they had heart. They busted their asses and they worked hard for every point in the standings that they ever got, and the fans loved them for that. Today's Oilers team, for all of their amazing, unequaled in many senses talent on that team, they are soft, unmotivated, and underperforming. They tend to mail it in far too often, hoping to wait until the playoffs begin so they can flick the switch and then power through to the finals and win the cup. That is not only a ridiculous way to play the game of hockey, it is entitled and conceited. It is a slap to the face of every fan who pays their hard-earned dollars to show up at the arena to cheer this team on. It really is. To me, a reset is all about changing the attitude and the current culture of this team. Look, I'll be the first to admit it, I don't like Stan Bowman very much. But here is something that I do know about the guy. His Chicago teams had players like Taves, Kane, Seabrook, and Keith, to name just 4. And those guys never took a game off. They never took a shift off. Those 4 players would rather get up into the face of a teammate and scream at them to get them motivated to play hard than admit defeat on any night. How do you think Stan Bowman really feels about the Oilers right now? Not what he says to the media. What he really thinks based upon his time with the Chicago Blackhawks. When he compares the teams, he sees talent. What else does he see? A reset probably involves waiting things out and taking a long, hard look at this team and how it is constructed during the summer months, once the season has concluded. Even if this team somehow wins the cup this year, the reset during the summer month still needs to happen desperately to save this franchise. Not because they're going anywhere, because they're going around the toilet bowl again like they've done so many times. Yeah, you're saying Dredd, they're 4th or 5th in the league in points or whatever they may be. I'm not talking about the points they're getting. I'm not talking about the fact they still get wins. I'm talking about how they play in front of their fans. It's a toilet bowl. It just swirls. As for right now, there is no sports psychologist that the Oilers can call up and have them sit down with Stuart Skinner and Evan Bouchard? Yes, even with Connor McFreakin David. Help them sort things out. Because all 3 of these guys should be better than they are. And you know, and I know that that's true. Maybe sitting down with a psychologist helps. Maybe it doesn't. I would lean toward it being more likely than it would. As for team construction, I would seriously look at trading Evan Bouchard this summer. Don't get me wrong, I'm not an Evan Bouchard hater. I think he is an amazing offensive talent. He showed it last year. He's taken a step back this year, unfortunately. He's underperforming this year at both even strength and on the power play, which has shocked people. We might have thought he was going to not perform as well defensively, but offensively and on the power play. My first question about Evan Bouchard for the team is, why? Why did this happen? Regardless of the answer, the next question is, can you trust him? Trust him enough to pay him big money? The other really important question to consider is this one. Will the fans ever forgive Evan Bouchard? Or will they continue to hammer him like they have hammered Darnell Nurse for years? At least Nursey's having a decent season this year. I really appreciate that, and the fans will let off. If Evan Bouchard continues to be Evan Bouchard, will the Oilers fans ever let him just be liked and appreciated? I have my doubts, and you should too. Look, I would trade Evan Bouchard. I honestly would. Next up, Adam Henrique. He has clearly lost a step, and he has almost no offense to speak of. He is, at best, a fourth-line center, and you should be playing Noah Philp there next year. So I would move on from Henrique this summer. Thank you very much for your service. See ya. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. This may not be a popular opinion, but I am not a big fan of Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. He had one big year in what is his, I don't know, maybe his last 10 or so seasons. It was a contract year. Yeah, he's got a hometown discount contract right now. That's great. But he's still playing below his contract value right now, which is not good. I would not trade Ryan Nugent-Hopkins unless somebody blew you away with an offer. But I wouldn't count on being anything more than a bottom six player at this point, and we are talking in the summer for next season. Maybe third line left wing next year. Penalty kill specialist until he loses another step, which honestly might happen sooner than some might wish to think about. Now, here's an interesting thing that I like to look at. Guys on the farm team who I personally would move up to the major leagues next year. I got four of them. I would pencil in Matt Savoy, Noah Philp, Philip Kemp, and Cameron Wright. We all know about Matt Savoy. I'd have him stapled to Draisaitl's right wing for the entire NHL season next year. I'd have Noah Philp as the fourth line center, and I'd leave him there. I'd let him learn the NHL game in the freaking NHL. I know. What a surprise. What? How? Do people do that? People actually do that, just not here in Oilerland. Let him learn the freaking game. Cameron Wright, I have time for this guy all day. He just works his ass off. And I would reward him with an NHL fourth line left wing position next year. And I really do believe that the Oilers organization has been sleeping on right D, Philip Kemp. He can likely hold down a six-man position at the NHL level, play limited minutes, and specialize on the penalty kill. He is also a born leader. He's the type of guy that other guys go through a brick wall for. The kind of guy you want on your team. One last word on the AHL guys, and then I'll move on. I truly believe that Matvei Petrov has legit NHL potential. All he needs is another AHL season, hopefully where he remains healthy and shows he can continue to learn the pro game. And I think he could be NHL ready after one more season to be a middle six NHL winger. We'll see if I'm right. Now, what to do with the Oilers' goaltending? Hot topic, right? I'm going to be honest, I don't know. Either get Stuart Skinner some professional help so he can get out of his own way and unlock his own potential, or move on. I have zero faith in the NHL potential of AHL goalie Olivier Rodrigue. And if you think that he is the Oilers' next great goaltender, please pick up the phone. I have several bridges in Tuktoyaktuk that I would like to sell you. Zero faith in him. Should the Oilers trade for John Gibson next summer? I don't know. I would at least consider it. That one's going to be up to Stan Bowman to figure out. What else does this team need to figure out this summer? Depending on where Evander Kane slots in, you still need next year one elite left wing, either for McDavid or for Draisaitl. You also need a third line center, someone with energy who can penalty kill, hit, and score a little bit, a forechecking expert. The 5 things you need a hard player. That person could play line 3 with Nuge and Arvidsson. I think it would be a great third line. Who plays with Wright and Philp on line 4? If Perry's up for another year, I'd sign him. If he retires, then I'd consider Connor Brown for another year. He can at least penalty kill, even if he cannot score to save his life. I would move on from Matthias Janmark. Seen that, done that, bye-bye. I've got no love affair with this guy at all. I believe what he brings should be the same that 1,000 others can bring, all at the same price or less. Some of them might actually be able to score a goal here or there as well. But Colson, if he wants to be a 13th forward, sure. Otherwise, no thanks. Again, I'm not saying any of these guys I'm letting go are bad people or bad players. I'm just saying I don't feel like they're right for the Oilers going forward, my opinion. We need bottom 6 guys who can throw the puck in deep, get some hits, wear down the opposing D, and forecheck their little hearts out. That is where hopefully guys like Wright and Philp and Arvidsson help out. Whoever we sign for the third line center comes in and does the same. Corey Perry, if he's playing, could do a little bit of that, although it takes him a while to get there. Big love for Corey Perry, though, as long as he's on my team. Big love. The team needs a damn identity beyond McDavid and Draisaitl. I know it, and you know it. And the potent power play, which is not as potent this year because that happens. Wouldn't it be great if other teams started to describe the Edmonton Oilers as hard to play against? Yeah, that's what I want too. Okay, so on D, we would still have Ekholm, Nurse, Kulak, and Eberson. And we can pencil in Philip Kemp there too. That leaves us needing one more top pair right D. Hopefully we can get that somebody in the trading away of Bouchard. Somebody reliable defensively and experienced, but not so old that they get outskated or injured every second game. Somebody trustworthy and hard to play against. If you want to re-sign John Klingberg, I'm not against it. He and Kemp can play number 6 and 7D between them. I'd move on from Troy Stetcher if at all possible, and I would keep Josh Brown in the minors where, no offense to Josh, nice guy I'm sure, but that is where he belongs. Lastly, one of the most important decisions the Oilers organization can make, drum roll please, is to release Chris Knobloch. Look, Chris is an amazing guy by all accounts, but he overplays the vets. He doesn't hold people accountable. He mixes lines too often, and he does not motivate the team to play harder or more disciplined, which is exactly what this team most needs from its head coach. Love him or hate him, I would welcome Joel Quenneville as the Oilers' next head coach. It makes sense both from what he brings as a coach versus what the Oilers need from a coach, and also because of his past relationship with Stan Bowman. It just makes sense. And for the sake of all that is right with the world, get a new goalie coach. God damn. Okay. Play harder. Forecheck more. Hit more. Dump more pucks in and soften up the other team. Build a new identity, Oilers. As a team hard to play against. If you are hard to play against and you have talent, you should win more games than you lose, and you should be in every game. Hell, you should be in every period and even in every shift. And you should never get outworked for a game or look like you have taken the night off. Your fans should always be happy with your performance, even if the outcome doesn't match what they want. That is the organizational foundation that this Oilers team desperately needs. And this is how I would suggest they go about it. From an Oilers fan who has never really spent time in Edmonton. So maybe you'll find my opinions different. Maybe you'll hate them. Maybe you'll agree. But my passion for the Oilers is tempered with a realistic look at this team and this organization. Drop down in the comments and let me know what you think. My name is Dredd, and this has been Miss Valley Entertainment News, Sports Talk with Dredd.